The killer whale, which is known to have the largest brain size among whales, is famous for being as smart as its physical, or wears salmon as a hat for fashion, hunting for the perfect timing, or using puffer fish poison. You're hallucinating yourself. But most of all, killer whales are smart because we humans communicate with each other in words. It's because they communicate with each other by sound, lead the herd, and hunt together. Then, is it possible to have a conversation if an Indian killer whale meets an American killer whale? We'll talk about it in this video. The fact that killer whales can speak sound language is supported by a number of papers. It is said that killer whales have many different ways of talking. For example, killer whales use a variety of sounds in a variety of situations, such as clicking sounds, whistling, shouting with a pulse, and screaming. Killer whales are known to communicate using sound for various purposes, such as finding food, socializing with other herd members, and coordinating group movements during hunting. In addition to vocalization, they also actively use their bodies for communication. When they talk to each other, of course, when they're showing aggression, when they're playing pranks, when they're trying to show social cohesion. Brushing up from the water with the belly up, bending their body in a bow shape, and putting their head into the water. They express language through various actions such as spy hopping that stick their heads out of the water. It is said that it is possible for killer whales to recognize each individual. This is because it enables identification marks such as their names, such as imitating the unique whistling sounds that each individual has. But in 2018, researchers at the University of California, San Diego, in the US, we published a very interesting study. They analyzed the sounds of killer whales in various forms. They found that these expressions of opinion by killer whales show different linguistic characteristics by region. We tested different killer whales in the Southeast, Southwest, and Indian Oceans. According to the analysis of each language, the languages used by killer whales with different habitats were also different. In addition, in 2019, researchers at Tokyo University in Japan analyzed the sounds of baby killer whales living in 11 more diverse regions, including the Arctic, the Middle Pole, Japan, Hawaii, the eastern coast of the United States, and South Africa. They also found that different languages were spoken by region. In fact, when I looked up more research on the language of killer whales, they had more complex language structures than I thought. According to a study published in the journal Nature Communications in 2018, killer whales use different dialects of mine if they live in the same habitat but have different groups. So, killer whales, even if they live in the same sea, use another language if they are different groups, which is like a kind of dialect for humans. The study was conducted on killer whales living in the Northeast Pacific, noting that killer whales living in the same habitat had 3 different types of killer whale cries. So they followed up and they were forming different social groups, each divided into coastal, transient, and offshore. This proves that killer whales' native language is what they learn from their community groups or social groups. Since killer whales move with their mother killer whales and find food from their babies after birth, it is said that it is most common for matrilineal societies, or individuals, to form social groups along the line derived from their mothers. Although males are often found moving with their young, it is more likely to be a group created through social interactions such as alliances because killer whales have been hunting together for a long time rather than forming a paternal society. Then, can American killer whales and Korean killer whales talk? The answer to this question is X. However, in 2019, another interesting research result was published in a scientific journal called Biology Letters, which made headlines. The first case of killer whales living in different regions was found in 2018. It showed the Ross Sea killer whales, which live in the Antarctic Ocean around Antarctica, communicate with a group of killer whales off the coast of Chile that use completely different vocalizations and dialects from them. In the same year, a group of Norwegian killer whales was also observed using herring with an Icelandic killer whale group. This brings up a new fact that killer whales may have their own international language that they can communicate with each other if they live in different regions and need cooperation, such as hunting, even if they speak different dialects. Since then, research on killer whale international languages has been continuously conducted. In fact, there are no studies that have made Indian killer whales and American killer whales meet face-to-face, but conversation is probably not impossible at all. This is because they will try to understand each other with excellent intelligence. By the way, a killer whale named Wiki, who lives in Antibes Marineland Zoo in southern France, was the first to imitate human sounds. Thank you for watching the video until the end, and if you enjoyed it or didn't, please subscribe and like it.